ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। श्रीकृष्ण प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षि अक्षरायते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोऽस्तु मे। असाधु साधुतादायिन् अतिनीचोच्चतारक हा न मुंच कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्नाहृत्कण्ठयो स्फुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। अष्टम स्कंद 8th कैंटो गजेंद्र स्तुति गजेंद्र मोक्ष लीला कथा की जय। रामनवमी महामहोत्सव कंटिन्यूड की जय। पतित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I offer my obeisances to each one of you for kindly joining in, and to others who are about to join in and participate in this discussion. This is session 18 on our discussion, and very specifically, we have reached the 10th verse of the Gajendra Stuti discussion. In the previous discussion, we covered up to the very specific point about the appearance, the activities of the Supreme Lord being non-material. We covered about Tasmai Namaha Pareshaya Brahmane Ananta Shaktaye Arupaya Ururupaya Namaha Ascharya Karmane. We mentioned about how the Supreme Lord has very wonderful activities and how he does not take material birth and how his activities are very beautiful, sweet and transcendental. Krishna is called Leela Vihari. He performs very sweet pastimes, unlike any other incarnation. In the Bhagavatam it is described, Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamanaad Bhavaushada Shrotra Manobhiramat Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadad Puman Virajyet Vina Pashubnat. In the 10th canto Bhagavatam chapter 1 text 4 it is described that for those who are liberated, Nivritta Tarshaihi, those who are free from the thirst of material happiness, what do they do about Krishna Leela? Upagiyamana. They continuously sing because they're already liberated, so they're tasting the sweetness of Krishna Leela. And at the same time, Bhavaushada Shrotra Manobhiramat. For those who are not liberated, but they want to get liberated, this Krishna Katha, hearing Krishna Katha is Bhava Aushadi. Bhava means repeated birth and death, and Aushadi means medicine to be free from. So those who are liberated, they enjoy singing Leela Katha of Krishna. And those who want to get liberated but are not yet liberated, this Leela Katha acts as medicine. And for those who are not liberated and don't want to get liberated because they are not interested at all, for them this Krishna Katha is Shrotra Manobhiramat. It gives entertainment to the ears and happiness to the heart. So someone may ask, how is this possible? If you bring in people from outside who are completely atheistic and who have no taste in God, how will these leelas give them shrotra manobhiramat? How will it entertain their ears and their heart? Oh, the answer given is very interesting. Those who are liberated, they want to hear about God. And those who are materialistic, they want to hear about mundane romance. They want to hear about male and female. They want to hear about some action. They want to hear about some suspense. They want to hear about some romance. They want to hear about different nuances of emotions. So Krishna is an interesting source, fountainhead of Godhead, who bridges the gap between these two sections of society. Those who are liberated, they want to know about God. So Krishna Lila is wonderful. And those who want some interesting romantic thoughts and stuff to hear about, Krishna facilitates even that. So yesterday was Ram Navami, and Ramchandra has Ekapatni Vrata. But Krishna opens the treasure box of conjugal romantic mood to anyone and everyone who wants it. So therefore, those who are material, they want to hear about romance. So they are very interested about Krishna's pastimes. And those who are transcendental, they want to know about God. They're also interested about Krishna and his pastimes. So only Krishna Lila, or Krishna Lila in Vrindavan very specifically, or even Dwarka for that matter with his queens, etc., these pastimes very beautifully bridge the gap between the bhogi and the yogi. This is why it is Shrotra Manobhiramat. Hearing about Krishna entertains the ears of even those who are atheistic or not interested in God. I remember in Mumbai, as I was growing up, in our building we had a watchman who was a atheist. And when we would play with Kantimala and Tilak, we would sometimes play cricket in the building. So he would call me and he would say that, "Oh, I am an atheist, I don't believe in God, but I see that you and your family are Krishna devotees." And I would say, "Yes, we are not just Krishna devotees, we are ISKCON devotees." So the watchman would say, "Oh, very good. So can you give me some books about Krishna? I want to read." So I said, "I thought you're an atheist, you have nothing to do with God." He said, "Yeah, I don't believe, but I'm very interested to know more about Krishna." I said, "What section you want to know?" He said, "I want to know more about Krishna and the gopis." So I was thinking and contemplating that Krishna is so all attractive that even if you don't believe in God, still you somehow find your way to have more curiosity about God's action-packed pastimes, God's pastimes with sweetness, God's pastimes with some romantic mood also, and God's pastimes with some suspense and some jokes and drama, etc. So in this way, hearing Krishna Katha, it bridges the gap between those who want to be in this world and those who want to get out of this world. The transcendentalists repeatedly sing the pastimes of Krishna, and those who want to get transcendental but don't know how to get in, this Krishna Lila is the medicine. And for those who don't want to get transcendental, liberated, and aren't liberated, at the least Krishna Lila will purify and entertain. So here, the Srimad Bhagavatam is preparing us to the 10th canto. You see, all the first 9 cantos are giving us different commodities to put in our bag before we get onto the flight called as the 10th canto. And taking onto that flight, we can take off into the sky of very sweet, beautiful Leelas of Bhagavan. But before that, it's good to know the prayers of Gajendra so that we seep in these jewels in our heart and carry the current of this surrendered devotion so that we know how to pray to Krishna so that we don't take his pastimes cheaply. We have come to text 10 now. Let's quickly chant. Nama Atma Pradipaya Sakshine Paramatmane Namo Giram Viduraya Manasaschetasam Api. Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the self-effulgent Supersoul, who is the witness in everyone's heart, who enlightens the individual soul, and who cannot be reached by exercises of the mind, words, or consciousness. Purport by Prabhupada. So short of one. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the individual soul through mental, physical, or intellectual exercises. It is by the grace of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that the individual soul is enlightened. Therefore, the Lord is described here as Atma Pradipa. The Lord is like the sun, which illuminates everything and cannot be illuminated by anyone. Therefore, if one is serious about understanding the Supreme, one must receive enlightenment from him, as instructed in the Gita. One cannot understand the Supreme Lord by one's mental, physical, or intellectual powers. So, Prabhupada, basically, the whole purport spins around this central idea that Krishna can be understood only through his grace. So, just to make this understanding a little easier, let's move to Canto 12, Chapter 4, Text 33, 12:4:33. It's a very beautiful verse. Ghano yadarko prabhavo vidíryate chakshusvarupam ravimikshate tada yada hyahankara upadiratmano jidnyasaya nashyati taryanusmare. So on the basis of this verse, we can understand the present purport. So Prabhupada here is basically talking about Krishna's grace and understanding Krishna through Krishna's grace. So with that context, we have pulled up this verse of the Bhagavatam. And just to note, all of this is in line with the first phrase of the verse. The first phrase of the verse is Atma Pradipaya. So you see, the word Namaha means to bow down. Atma Pradipa means a few things, which of course through our discussion we will know. So this is the first phrase. The second phrase is, so first phrase of course is Atma Pradipaya Namaha, bowing down to Atma Pradipa. The second is Sakshane Namaha. The third is Paramatmane Namaha. The fourth is Giram Viduraya Namaha. The fifth is Manasa Viduraya Namaha. And the sixth is Chetasa Viduraya Namaha. So in this way, 6 phrases are there. And in the time that we have, we will very quickly understand them. So to explain the Atma Pradipaya Namaha phrase, we are taking shelter of this verse in the 12th canto. So to make things simple, let's take a quick example. Let's think about the sun. And in our childhood, we have learned and we have read so many times about the water cycle. So what basically the water cycle is, that by the prabhava, by the influence of the sun, we see the water from the ocean, it evaporates and it forms clouds. And then again, the sun gets scorching. And at one point, you see the cloud bursts and then the rain falls in back into the ocean. And the scorching heat of the sun from the ocean again evaporates the water to form clouds. And the cloud pours the water back into the ocean. So in this way, we see this is the water cycle. But the difference is the water which gets evaporated is salty, but the water which comes back is pure, straight from the rain cloud. So here is an interesting example that the Bhagavatam talks about in the 12th canto, the verse that we pulled up. It talks about the sun, it talks about the cloud, and it talks about the living being, or let's say instead of saying living being, we will say the eye through which we witness or we have vision in this world, through which we see. So through these 3 identities, we have the sun, we have the clouds, and we have the eye. So the Bhagavatam says, and of course through logic we understand that the sun through water cycle creates the clouds. This is point number 1. And second, these clouds again, they end up hiding the sun. You see, there are times when we find the days are gloomier. That doesn't mean the sun doesn't exist. It's just that the same clouds which have been formed by the potency of the sun, the same clouds end up hiding the sun. So point number 1 to be noted, it is the sun which causes the clouds to be formed. Point number 2, the clouds which are formed by the potency of the sun end up hiding the sun. Point number 3, when they hide the sun, our eye cannot see the sun because we are just seeing the gloomy nature around. So we're just seeing the clouds and we don't see the sun. So as a result of which, third point, we sometimes even doubt the presence of the sun. And when it gets gloomier, of course, it's dark, so we're not even able to appreciate our power to see. So this is point number 3. And point number 4 is that we can do anything on our own to tear the clouds to see the sun. Only when time passes and the sun on its own accord tears through the cloud can we see the sun, and we can appreciate, by the power of the light of the sun, we can appreciate our vision too. So just to quickly recap the 4 points that we made. We first spoke about the sun, we spoke about the cloud, and we spoke about the eye, the human eye. Point number 1, it is the sun which through water cycle forms the cloud. Point number 2, the same cloud which has been formed by the sun ends up hiding, eclipsing the sun. Point number 3, when the cloud eclipses the sun, the eye can see the sun. As a result of which, being gloomy, the eye feels that there is no sun. It can even doubt the presence of the sun. And in that darkness or in that gloomy environment, the eye cannot even appreciate its power to see. And finally, point number 4, the eye cannot do anything to tear the cloud and see the sun. It's only when the sun decides on its own, tears apart the cloud by the potency of its rays, that's when the sun reveals itself. And that's when, through the light of the sun, the eye can see and appreciate its power to see. 4 points. So why are we saying this? We are saying this because the sun in this example represents Krishna, represents Vishnu, represents God. The cloud in this example represents Maya. And the eye in this example represents the living being. So let's run the 4 points again. Sun represents Krishna, cloud represents Maya, and the eye represents the Jiva. Let's run through the 4 points again. Just like the point number 1, just like the sun forms the cloud through water cycle, it is by Krishna's potency that Maya works. Point number 2, that same cloud which has been formed by the potency and the power of the sun, that same cloud ends up hiding and eclipsing the sun. So point number 2, Maya Shakti, who's been created by Krishna, can sometimes hide the sun. Point number 3, in the presence of the clouds hiding the sun, just like the eye can sometimes doubt the presence of the sun, and in that darkness can't even see its own, appreciate its own power to see. Similarly, the living being, when Maya has put in a curtain between the Jiva and Krishna, the living being can sometimes even doubt the presence of God. And as a result, being in the darkness of avidya, the living being doesn't appreciate his power to see, meaning he doesn't even appreciate that he's way beyond this body and that he's actually eternal and that he has a very beautiful spiritual form. He thinks that he's in an old body. He thinks that he's going to die. He thinks something's wrong with his body and he's getting diseased. But he fails to understand his power to see in the reality that he's actually a spiritual being. And point number 4, just like the eye can do nothing to tear the clouds and see the sun, the living being can do nothing to overcome Maya. It is only when the sun decides to tear the cloud and give the sun rays, that's when the eye can appreciate the presence of the sun and his own power to see. So similarly, the living being cannot tear Maya by any of his efforts, by any of his hard work. The living being cannot tear the curtain of Maya and see the sun of Krishna. It is only when Krishna, being completely independent, completely on his own accord, decides to tear the curtain of Maya and reveal himself to the living being, that the living being is now convinced of not just the presence of God, but also the beautiful, opulent, sweet, wonderful position of God. And with that light of the sun, the living being also not just has God realization, but also has self-realization. I think it's getting a little technical, but it is very, very sweet. So the reason we are talking about this is that through this example, we can understand the living being can do nothing to tear the curtain of Maya. We can chant 300,000 names of Krishna every day. We can do Govardhan Parikrama back and forth. We can do even 5 Govardhan Parikramas back to back. We can take snan in all the 108 kunds in Vrindavan. We can walk on our head. we can do whatever we want. But none of this is actually going to tear the cloud of Maya. The only thing that will tear the curtain, the cloud covering of Maya, is when Krishna desires to take Maya off. Living being is too small to tear the cloud of Maya. He can do nothing. Like, for example, the eye can see the cloud, and he can do all different kinds of eye exercises. He can try to blink very fast, or he can try stopping to blink. But none of this is even going to come close to the cloud. So living being can try different kinds of sadhana. He can try bhakti, he can try gyan, he can try karma, he can try mix it up, he can try it, in an unalloyed way. But there's no guarantee. This is all going to break the curtain of Maya. But what is guaranteed is when you try sincerely on the path of bhakti. That may not break Maya. That may not break the cloud. But what's guaranteed is when we try sincerely in bhakti, that catches the attention of Krishna. That's his sensitive weak point. That's his heart point. That catches his attention. And when his attention is caught, he may decide to tell Maya to get aside. So even when we perform bhakti, it is only when Krishna desires at his own sweet will. Janmadhyasya yatonvaya ditaratas chartheshu abhijña swarat. The Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse, first line describes Krishna as Swarat. Swarat means he's completely independent. No rules work on him. You can't put God in a box. You can't run him through an algorithm that if I do this, you must give me this. It's possible someone will chant 3 lakh a day and Krishna will not be interested to see towards him. On the other hand, Krishna may see someone just walking down the street and really like him and go and embrace him. And who can stop Krishna from doing that? He's completely free to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, at whatever time he wants. Now, that is the nature of God. But however, this verse says in the 12th canto, 4th chapter, text 33, the verse that we're discussing. So first 2 lines describe the problem statement about the sun, the cloud, and the eye. But the next 2 lines talk about the solution. What forces the sun to tear the cloud? What forces God to ask Maya to leave? And the answer given is inquiry. If someone sincerely inquires about him, with what intention? Satyam param dhimahi. With the intention that may I hold Krishna's form in my heart. It's very interesting. I want to draw parallels between the Vedanta Sutra and the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So Vedanta Sutra is filled with aphorisms. Sutras means aphorisms, short, cute sayings which have very deep meanings. They are like a cotton ball. You can pluck it down to unlimited, unbelievable facets and meanings out. So the Vedanta Sutra is difficult to understand, and Vyasadev's natural commentary to understand the Vedanta Sutra is called Bhagavatam. So if someone wants to understand the Vedanta Sutra, then the study of the Bhagavatam reveals the sutras of Vedanta Sutra. So the reason I'm saying that is this verse of the Bhagavatam, the 12th canto says, we can force God to clear up the sky for us and reveal himself to us when first sutra of Vedanta Sutra is fulfilled, and that is Athato Brahma Jidnyasa, when we inquire about him. First verse of Vedanta Sutra, first sutra of Vedanta Sutra maps with the first verse of Bhagavatam. And the last sutra of Vedanta Sutra maps with the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It maps very beautifully like that. Not that every verse maps like that, but it coincidentally, it's interesting that the first verse of Bhagavatam has 7 sutras of Vedanta Sutra in it. So first sutra of Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jidnyasa, is explained through the first verse of Bhagavatam. And the last verse of, the last sutra of Vedanta Sutra is explained by the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll very quickly cover that. First sutra of Vedanta Sutra says Athato Brahma Jidnyasa, which means one must inquire about Krishna. And the first verse of Bhagavatam, which parallels to this first sutra, gives the intention behind that inquiry. Should we inquire about Krishna just to waste the time of the speaker, or just to show the speaker that we are very sincere, or to show the audience how we are able to inquire in different ways and show off our knowledge? What should be the actual intention? The first verse of Bhagavatam answers that and says, Nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Satyam means truth, param means completely, absolute, the topmost, and dhimahi. I believe those who have Brahmin initiation, you have this word dhimahi in your mantras. So dhimahi comes from the root Sanskrit dhatu dha. Dha means dharayan, to hold. So if one has Athato Brahma Jignasa, the inquisitiveness to Dhimahi, to hold the Supreme Lord's form in the heart. Let me inquire the path by which I can hold Krishna's form in my heart. If this is the desire, then that impresses Krishna, and then Krishna lets go of Maya Shakti, which is the cloud, and he reveals himself, and the living being can see him. But now the Bhagavatam and the Vedanta Sutra also tell us how to do that. So you inquire to hold the form of Krishna. But what is the practical way to do that? The last verse of Bhagavatam says, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. Pranama Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Harim Para. Which means offer your obeisances and chant the holy name and inquire about Krishna's Lila Katha. And in this way, the form of Krishna will be in your heart. So just like the first sutra of Vedanta Sutra maps with the first verse of Bhagavatam, the last verse of Bhagavatam, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya, Canto 12, Chapter 13, Text 23, it maps up with the last sutra of Vedanta Sutra. And what is that? Anavrittihi Shabdhat, Anavrittihi Shabdhat. It's twice. So Anavrittihi means liberation, and Shabdhat means by sound vibration. So just like the first sutra of Vedanta Sutra says, inquire, and the first verse of Bhagavatam says, inquire to hold the form of Krishna. Last verse of Bhagavatam says, how do you do this? By chanting the holy name. And the last sutra, Vedanta Sutra, says, Anavrittihi Shabdhat. You get liberated by sound vibration. So Shabda means sound and Anavrittihi means liberation. So the question is, why is it said 2 times? Vyasadeva could have said Anavrittihi Shabdhat, period. But he said Anavrittihi Shabdhat, Anavrittihi Shabdhat. So that's not a printing mistake in our local edition. One meaning is there's overemphasis on the chanting of the holy name, so it's printed twice. But at the same time, the meaning is when you chant the holy name and you're getting liberated as we pass through the Bhu Bhuva Suva Mahajana Tapa Satyam, different planetary positions. They're all showering flowers saying, oh, Anavrittihi Shabdat, Anavrittihi Shabdat. Oh, he got liberated by chanting the holy name. Oh, he got liberated by chanting the holy name. So in this way, the twice usage, the repetition is actually the excitement of the great souls. That by chanting the holy name, one can get liberated. So through this analysis, we understand, if we chant the holy name, if we offer obeisances, and sincerely hear and inquire about Krishna with the desire to hold Krishna's form in our smaranam, then Krishna releases his kripa shakti. And he opens up the cloud curtain of Maya, and that's when the eye, which means the living being, can not just see the position of Krishna, he can see the beautiful sun-like position of Krishna, and at the same time, he can see his position to see even, which means there's God realization and self-realization. One's swarup, one's spiritual form gets revealed, and his relationship with Krishna. So all of this happens only by the mercy of Krishna. It cannot happen by the living entity. The living entity can jump as high as possible but in the kirtan, but that may not impress Krishna. But if one sincerely chants, one sincerely bows down to Krishna and sincerely inquires, jigyasa, then Krishna as the sun, by his own time period and time sweet will, he can release his grace, sun rays of mercy, tear the cloud of Maya, and the living being gains grace. So this is the meaning of the first phrase of Gajendra Stuti, Namaha Atma Pradipaya. Why did we go through all that? Why did we take this exit and go for a round? It's to explain this, that Atma means the living being, and Pradipa means a lamp. Tesham evanu kampartham aham ajnanajam vibhu na ashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhaswata. The Bhagavad Gita describes, Krishna says, with the lamp of knowledge, I destroy. This is one of the 4 Chatushloki key seed verses, that with the lamp of knowledge, I destroy the andhakar in the heart of the living being. So Atma means Jiva, and Pradipa means a very special lit lamp. So Krishna lights the lamp through his mercy. The wick, the ghee, is all the sadhana of the living being. So you see the lamp, the lamp that we have is the body of the living being. The wick is our devotion. The wick is our spirit, our devotional sadhana. And the ghee that we offer is the heart behind the sadhana. One can have the lamp of the body and the wick of bhakti, but without the ghee offered, the lamp will not survive. But for it to survive, we should have the lamp of the body we should have the wick of sadhana, but most importantly, the ghee of our preeti, our emotions, and the heart behind our sadhana. You can't just do the things externally with our hand and get love. You see, Mangala Arati, Tulasi Arati, Guru Arati, Sandhya Arati, Bhog Arati. What does Arati mean? A means too much, and Rati means attachment. That process where you put your heart so that very quickly you get too much attached to Krishna. This is called Arati. Arati Korena Brahma Adi Deva Gana. Arati Korove Lalita Adi Sakhi Gana. They're all performing Arati, which too much attachment. So this is the aim. So if with the lamp of our body, with the wick of sadhana, and with the ghee of our emotions, if we go with Krishna, with chanting the holy name, offering obeisances and inquiry, then Krishna on his own free will, he can take the matchstick and he can light the lamp. And by that, the darkness of avidya and agyan of the living being is destroyed. Gajendra says, this is Atma Pradita. Krishna, I bow down to you. Why is Gajendra saying this? Gajendra is saying this, my Lord, all that I can do from my side is chant your holy names, offer you obeisances, and inquire. I have already inquired in my past life as King Indradyumna. And now on the basis of that, I'm singing and offering obeisances to the best that I can. What can I do? I have to wait for the sun, that is you, to open up the clouds of uncertainty and come to me. The eye cannot clear the cloud of uncertainty and see the sun, but the sun can do it. So Krishna, all that Gajendra is saying, all that I can do here is call out. But now I depend on you to come and set the lamp of my devotion and release me from this situation. So all of these emotions are completely encapsulated in this one phrase, Namaha Atma Pradipaya. We see even in the Damodar Leela, Mother Yashoda was running behind Krishna. She tried so hard, but ultimately the acharyas say, 2 fingers too short. What is those 2 fingers? We show the 2 fingers. Everyone please point the 2 fingers in front of you. Keep the 2 fingers in front of you. Yeah. So do you see the smaller finger, the index finger, and the middle finger, which is the longer finger? So the index finger is shorter and the middle finger is longer. So that the index finger is our sadhana and the taller finger is Krishna's kripa. So all of our sadhana is to get Krishna's attention. And once there's Krishna's attention, then the living being gets uplifted. So in this way, Gajendra is saying Namaha Atma Pradipaya, to say that, my Lord, I am doing the little finger of calling out to you, but you have to do the bigger finger of showering mercy and coming to me. I cannot come to you, but you please come to me. So this is Atma Pradipaya. Also, another meaning for the word Atma Pradipa, the word Atma could refer to the Paramatma also, the super soul. In that case, Atma Pradipa would mean that super soul within me who is very effulgent, as bright as a lamp. Pradipa means a lamp. As bright as a lamp, you are a super soul in my heart. So it's a fact actually that Krishna is very, very effulgent. Even when he used to steal butter, the gopis in Vrindavan would complain to Mother Yashoda that, oh, your Lala is coming and stealing butter. And one of their complaints used to be that we are switching off all the lamps and we are hiding our butter. But he comes with all these jewels that he's wearing on his body. And as a result of which they're so effulgent that he brightens, he lights up the whole room, which is actually dark. And he jumps up, he stacks up piles of boxes, and then he finds the butter. So Mother Yashoda says, okay, if it's the jewels which are actually brightening the whole situation, I'll take all these jewels off Gopal's body. Then the gopis say, oh, no, actually the truth is the jewels don't decorate his body decorates the jewels, because the jewels on Krishna's body are not as bright and effulgent as Krishna's form. So Krishna's form is brighter and more beautiful than all the jewels on his body. This is why even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu describes Krishna's form to be Bhushana Bhushanangam, that all the ornaments in Krishna's form, they are not the ornaments in Krishna's form. Krishna's form is the ornaments for the ornaments on Krishna's form. So therefore, Atma Pradipa means Krishna's form as the super soul, Atma, is Pradipa, is completely effulgent. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Hai Andhakar, Jaha Krishna taha nahi mayar adhikar. So Kaviraj Goswami says Maya is andhakar, darkness. But you see, we are so optimistic. In the dark world of Maya, we are finding so much brightness. So imagine if Maya, which we find to be so happy, is darkness, how effulgent and how happy and beautiful Krishna is. So one meaning of Atma Pradipa, if you take the word Atma to be Jiva, Jivatma, then that Krishna who lights the lamp of knowledge and helps the living being from within. And another meaning, if you take the meaning of the word Atma to be Paramatma, the super soul, then it means he who is very self-effulgent as the super soul. So now the second phrase is Sakshine. Sakshine, the word Sakshi means witness. Now if someone gets into a shopping mall, there are different aisles, and he looks to the right and he looks to the left and he looks around and he sees no one in that aisle. So he starts taking things from the aisle and stuffing it into his bag. But he's such a fool because there are CCTV cameras on top of the aisle. There's one CCTV camera which goes from left to right, and there's one which goes from right to left, and there's one just above him. And all these are being displayed on the main monitor screen. So all the aisles with all the CCTV cameras can be seen by the person in the main control room. Similarly, the living being, he comes in the shopping mall of this world, and he comes through different aisle of activities. And he looks to the right and he looks to the left and he thinks there's no one watching me. And he starts performing different kinds of stealing activities. He starts doing different kinds of wrong activities. But he's such a fool because he doesn't see the CCTV cameras of the witnesses of this world. The Bhagavatam describes there are 13 witnesses to every activity. Like the sun, like the moon, like Mother Earth, like Vayudev. All of them are witnesses. So they are all like CCTV cameras. They are seeing everything. For performing any activity, you have to be on Bhumi Devi. You can levitate. And even if you can levitate, to perform any activity, you need breath. So Vayu is going through the body and he's going to note every single thing. And even if you don't invite the sun rays come into the house through all the windows. The sun is there. Sun and the moon are seeing everything. But they're all like CCTV cameras. Even if no one around is watching, they're all keeping a note. So we can very intelligently say, but the CCTV cameras can sometimes get spoiled also. Sometimes you see CCTV cameras, they're not working. So someone will say, hey, what if the CCTV cameras are not working? Don't worry, there is another person who's watching all of this above the CCTV cameras, and his name is Yamaraj. Even if all the Sakshis fail, the Yama Sakshi doesn't fail. Someone will say, what if Yamaraj goes to sleep? What if he is unaware? Chitragupta is also not paying attention. Oh, don't worry. The king of all witnesses as super soul is sitting in the heart, ultimately. So when a living being is put to trial and all of his activities are being discussed, he can say, oh, actually, I did this activity with this intention. But then all these witnesses are called. Air, Vayudev, you went through his nostrils and went into his body. What do you think? He was thinking at that time. What do you think was his thought? And they will all speak up. And then Yamaraj will give his verdict. And then Super Soul is there. And the living being has no place to appeal because everyone has their own analysis of the situation. And that all matches because they're all true witnesses. So here, why is Gajendra saying this? Gajendra is saying this, my Lord, you are the ultimate super soul. So which means you know the intention behind every activity. Hey Sakshi, I am calling out to you because I am not just saying something from my tongue. I am not just crying some fake tears. I am not just making an appeal, a show of devotion in front of my elephant family. My elephant family will think, my goodness, to find an elephant who can remember God during the time of crocodile bite in itself is rare. And someone who's crying tears and vocalizing Sanskrit poetry and with his trunk offering a lotus flower, it is really Ashcharyam. But my Lord, you as Param Sakshi in my heart, you know I am not acting, I am not faking devotion. What I'm speaking through my tongue is what I'm feeling in my heart. You as Sakshi can know my heart. My Lord, after knowing my intentions, why don't you reciprocate with me? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for some more verdict from other witnesses? You want Bhumi and Agni and Vayu and Jala, the water in which I am there, and Chandra, all of them to give their verdict, to tell you what my intentions are? You are the ultimate witness. I am calling out to you. I am not calling out to these little witnesses. So, my Lord, please come. Please breathe through please smell through and breathe through the intentions of my heart. And as the complete, supreme super soul, you please kindly reciprocate with me. You see, if someone is sitting in a shop and they see they're sitting in a pen shop. You see, when we were children, we used to have these nice pens that we used to carry to school, and it was very exciting. We used to have these 2 rupee pens, which used to last for a long, long time. You didn't have to change any refill, or you didn't have to fill in like a fountain pen, etc., or whatever, or ballpoint or whatever. This was a nice one. It was use and throw, but it comes for a long time. It's 2 rupees. But the interesting thing is, if you pay 1 more rupee, 3 rupees, then you get a pen with a fragrant nib. So you can keep smelling, and it's very fragrant. And different pens with different colors will have different kinds of fake fragrance. So kids, we used to take the pen, because in 5th standard we could carry the pen to school. So we used to take, oh, this is pink color and this is the fragrance. Oh, mine is red color and this is the fragrance. And all of this for 3 rupees. So if you sit in a shop, pen shop like that, someone comes and asks for a pen. So you say, oh, 2 rupees. Another one comes and asks for a fragrant pen. You as the shopkeeper say 3 rupees. Another one comes and asks for a Parker pen. You say 150 rupees. You will sit there and you will think, hey, this shopkeeper is crazy. People whom he likes, he's charging only 2 rupees. People whom he doesn't like, he's charging 150 rupees. But actually that's not true. Depending on what the living entity wants, depending on what he's able to give in money, accordingly the shopkeeper is able to give the commodity. Depending on what the living entity wants. If you want a normal pen, 2 rupees. But if you want a fragrant one, 3 rupees. You want a Parker pen, 150 rupees. So depending on your desire, you get the commodity. So if the shopkeeper knows to give you according to your desire, doesn't the super soul know according to your desire? So everyone is chanting Gajendra Stuti, but not to everyone the Supreme Lord comes. But Gajendra, who chanted the Gajendra Stuti for the first time in history ever, we are all now parroting what Gajendra said. But Gajendra is chanting this for the first time ever in history. He is the Gajendra Stuti Acharya, founder Acharya of the Gajendra Stuti. So when he was chanting, he says, you are like the supreme shopkeeper. I am desiring your protection, my Lord. I am offering in my life. Those who are offering 150 rupees, the shopkeeper is giving Parker pen. But if one is giving 1 crore rupees, the shopkeeper may give his own shop itself. So my Lord, I am giving the 1 crore rupees of my life air. Now you kindly give the shop of your personality to me. Depending on my intention, please kindly reciprocate, my Lord. So Gajendra is trying to bring the Lord on his knees. Sakshine. Sakshine Namaha. Next call is Paramatmane. That is also Paramatmane Namaha. I bow down to Paramatma. So why is he now calling Krishna as Paramatma? Actually, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, so many places he says, I am the Paramatma. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Stitaha Aham Adishcha Madhyamcha Bhutanamanta Evacha. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashaya Stitaha. Hey Arjun, Gudakesha, I am the super soul and I am sitting Sarva Bhuta Ashaya Sthitaha. I am taking shelter in the bodies of all living beings. I am the beginning, middle and end. Aham Adi cha Madhyam cha Bhutanam Anta Eva. So there Krishna says, I am as the super soul, Paramatma. Then in the 18th chapter, Krishna says, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riddesha Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudani Mayaya. Krishna says, I am the super soul in everybody's heart. Then in chapter 15, text 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ridhi sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda vit eva chaham. Sarvasya cha aham ridhi sannivishta. I'm sitting in everybody's heart. So again, Gajendra is calling out to that mood, and he calls Krishna as Paramatma. So why is he saying Paramatma? Now the word Paramatma here is strategically very significant. Perhaps you may know, that in the Gopi Geet also, the gopis call Krishna as Paramatma, very sarcastically. They say, "Oh Krishna, you are actually the Paramatma. You are Paramatma." So why they say Krishna is Paramatma? Because the gopis say the Paramatma has two qualities which Krishna has. Paramatma has two qualities which Krishna fulfills. What are the two qualities? Gopis say the first quality of Paramatma is when, irrespective of whether you're drowning in water or you're burning in fire, you may shout and scream, but the Paramatma doesn't come out to help you. You may be drowning in water, but the Paramatma doesn't come out and as a lifeguard take you on the shore. Or when we may be burning in fire, but Paramatma doesn't come with a fire extinguishing device. He doesn't do that. He's just there in the body as a silent spectator. So similarly, Krishna is also doing that. The gopis are taunting. They are saying, "Oh Krishna, we are burning in the fire of separation. At the same time, we are drowning in the ocean of lamentation. Why did we fall so much in love with you? Only if you had to leave us in the middle of the night. We are drowning in the ocean of sorrow. But at the same time, we are burning in the fire of separation. The sorrows of the fact that why did we even know you? Because we knew you, we fell in love with you. Because we fell in love with you, we gave your heart to you. Because we gave our heart to you, we are so attached to you. Now when we are attached to you, you're leaving, so we are not able to live." So the gopis are saying we are drowning in the water of lamentation. But at the same time, we are burning in the fire of separation with the desire that may Krishna come. So, but even after crying Gopi Geet, Krishna is not coming, which means he must be Paramatma. Just like Paramatma doesn't come out and help, Krishna is not coming out and pacifying the gopis. Oh, which means first quality of Paramatma is satisfied by Krishna. Second quality of Paramatma. Paramatma can see us, but we cannot see Paramatma at any time. So similarly, Krishna is hiding in the groves of Braj, and he's able to see the crying and the weeping activities of the gopis, but the gopis are not able to see him. Oh, point number one, point number two, both points of the Paramatma Krishna has fulfilled. Therefore, the gopis say, "Na khalu gopika nandano bhavan akhila dehinam antar atmadrik." Oh, you are indeed the super soul in everybody's heart. So what does that mean? This means that the Paramatma has two qualities. He may never help us externally in any sorrow, and at the same time, we can see him, but he can always see us. So here Gajendra is using this term to very emotionally blackmail Krishna by saying, "Paramatmane namaha. I am suffering here. Oh, but I forgot your Paramatma. I forgot that you don't come out and help your jivas." At the same time, Paramatma means you can see me, but I can see you. Which means even after calling so much, I don't think I'm going to see you, my Lord. Although you can see me wherever you are sitting, so you are certainly Paramatma. But still, Gajendra in his heart, he has this desire. I wish, although you have these qualities of Paramatma, you break the rules and come out. Because Krishna has done that in the past. How? Dhruva Maharaj, he was meditating for 6 months. He was in Madhuvan and he was meditating. And Krishna appeared in front of him. But Dhruva Maharaj couldn't see because his eyes were closed. So that Krishna who was outside now entered the consciousness of Dhruva. And Dhruva, with his eyes closed, he suddenly saw Krishna in his heart. So he was not sure whether it is the Paramatma who's already there or whether it is the new form which has come. Because anyway, Dhruva Maharaj was meditating. Dhruva Maharaj, with his eyes closed, was meditating anyway on the form of Vishnu. So it was constant. So Vishnu, who appeared externally, Dhruva couldn't see because eyes were closed. So he entered in the heart. So Dhruva was not sure whether it's a new intruder or whether it's the form he's been meditating on. But as he was thinking, this form disappeared. So now, even after meditation, there was darkness inside. He couldn't find anything. So out of restlessness, he opened his eyes and he saw the form outside. So for Dhruva Maharaj, the form appeared externally, went inside and came out. So see, Paramatma is playing some tricks now with Dhruva. Also, we find in the example of Madhavendra Puri, Krishna appeared externally, gave him the pot of milk. And then later, When Madhavendra Puri went off to sleep, Krishna came in his dream inside and then guided him to his form outside as Srinathji. So for Dhruva, he came externally, he went internally in his consciousness and came out. Even for Madhavendra Puri, he came out, went inside to the dream and then came out. So Gajendra is saying, my Lord, there have been exceptions to the Paramatma rules that you have made. So similarly, you can take this case also on high priority emergency and hey, Paramatmane Namaha. I know you don't help anyone in difficulty. I know you can see everyone, but no one can see you. Please make some exceptions. And please, he who is outside this creation, who is present in my heart as Paramatma, now is the time for you to come out so that I can see you. Just like you appeared to Madhavendra Puri as the deity, you appear to Dhruva, now you kindly please appear to me. So of course the parallel of Dhruva and Madhavendra Puri we are making to understand Gajendra's mood better. Gajendra was not thinking in these terms, but this was the bhav that my Lord, may you kindly come out and may you kindly help. So this is so interesting that Madhavendra Puri, the final manifestation of Krishna's presence was the deity. The fruit of seeing Krishna outside and in the dream was the manifestation of Srinathji. So similarly, Gajendra is saying, the deity that I worshipped in my past life, didn't forget these prayers that I offered in my past life. He not just remembered them, he is speaking through me these Sanskrit verses. And later, as he is describing these verses through my tongue, you are also coming externally. Krishna, so wonderfully you're doing this. As the deity, you remember my prayers from past life. You are speaking them through me as an instrument, the Sanskrit prayers through the mouth of an elephant. And now I want you to complete this pastime by hearing these prayers. Please come and save me. Therefore, Paramatmane Namaha. So beautiful. Now the final section of our discussion. Namaha Giram Viduraya Manasas Chetasamapi. That is the phrase, final phrase. Namaha means to bow down. And the word we know, Gira, means the tongue. Krishneti yasya girita manasadriyeta. Rup Goswami says in the Upadeshamrita. So that means the tongue, the words. And manasa means mind, and chetasa means consciousness or buddhi. And vidura, dura means far away. Yes, in Hindi we say dur. And vi means vishesha. So vidura means very far. So vi dur. Vi means also in English like V as the letter, which means V-E-R-Y, very. And dura means far away. So nama giram viduraya manasa chetasamapi, which means giram viduraya, manasam viduraya, chetasam viduraya. Krishna, you are very, very far away from the catch of the tongue, of the mind, and of the buddhi. We can catch you like that. Indriyebhyo parohyartha arthebhya cha param manaha manasastu para buddher atma mahan paraha. The Kathopanishad describes, even the 3rd chapter, text 42 of the Bhagavad Gita describes a very beautiful hierarchy. On the bottom most rank of this ladder are our senses. Higher than the senses are the sense objects which attract our senses. Higher than that is the mind. Higher than that is the buddhi. Higher than that is the atma. Higher than that is the paramatma. Higher than that is Bhagavan. So on top of the ladder of hierarchy is Bhagavan, coming down to Paramatma. So from Bhagavan to Paramatma, Paramatma to Jivatma, Jivatma to mind, Buddhi, Buddhi, that is intelligence, down to Manas, which is mind, down to sense objects, and down to senses. So please understand, the tongue means this level of the senses. And above that is mind and then intelligence. And Bhagavan is so far away on the rank. So things which are low on the rank cannot catch things which are high on the rank. But things which are high on the rank can catch things which are lower on the rank. Which means we cannot chant the pure name. Because pure name, Krishna Nam, is Bhagavan. But if Bhagavan is impressed with our constant chanting, the tongue cannot catch Bhagavan. But if Bhagavan decides to catch the tongue, that is the descent of Shuddhanam in the life of the Jiva. Prakrita vastu nahi prakrita gochar, Veda Puran kahe nirantar. That we cannot catch Krishna, but Krishna, we can act in such a way that Krishna can catch us. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, don't try to see God. You can't. But try to act in such a way that God is interested in seeing you. So in this way, Gajendra is saying that through mind, tongue and intelligence, no one can catch you. Even Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita something very similar. Natad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yadgatva na nivartante tadhamam paramam mama. Krishna says, in my abode, I don't need the sun, moon or fire. But we know there is sun, moon and fire in Krishna's abode. If there is no sun in Krishna's abode, how Radharani is doing Surya Puja? If there is no moon in Krishna's abode, how there is Sharat Kalin Rasa Leela with the full moon? Where is Chandra Sarovar? If there is no fire, how will Mother Yashoda cook for Krishna? How will she heat the water for Krishna? How will they do Arati to Vishnu? Panchamukhi, ghee lamp. So there is fire in Golok. There is sun and moon also. But this has a very deep meaning that Krishna is saying. You see, the sun is a symbolic representation for the eye. The moon is a symbolic representation for manas, mind. And fire is a symbolic representation for the throat. Why? It is believed a portion of the sun is there in the eye. That is why we are able to see. A portion of the moon is there in the mind. Therefore, we are able to think. And portion of the fire is there in the frictional spirit between the vocal cords. And that's how we are able to speak. So it is saying that the ability to speak is Agnidev, Agni. The ability to think is Somdev, Chandradev. And the ability to see is Suryadev. So when Krishna says, Natad bhasayate suryo na shashanka na pavaka, what that actually means is, oh, through sun, which means your eyes, you can see me. Through moon, which is your mind, you can think about me. And through Agni, pavaka, your throat, you can describe me. Not possible. You cannot catch my mind. But if I catch your mind, then you can think about me. You see? So Gajendra is making this point that Krishna, you have said in the Gita, through the mind we can think of you. Through the tongue we can glorify you enough. It's like Bill Gates trying to count his money. You see, there was once when I was growing up, there was a do you know fact. I don't know how far that was true, but I just read it on the backside of a magazine. That if at that time Bill Gates was, I believe he just turned #1 again as the richest. I'm not sure, maybe not, but he was there for a long time as the richest man around. So in that magazine on the back, do you know fact? It said, if you make all the money of Bill Gates as $1 bills, it can go from his home up to the moon and come back. I don't know how far that's true. But the point I'm remembering from that is it's almost impossible to count the money of a rich man. If you try counting one bill after another, $1 after another, every second he's probably making, a few $1,000s or a few $1 million, I don't know. So the more you try to count $1 bill, every second there's deposits into his account. Practically, you'll never come to an end. So that's Krishna's qualities. Even Krishna, even if Bill Gates sits to count, he can't because his money is way more than him. So Krishna's qualities are such that even Krishna gets attracted. Even Krishna cannot describe his own personality. So what to speak of us? So Gajendra says this out of humility, that my Lord, how much can I cry? How much with my mind I try to think? How much with my buddhi can I try to catch you? How much with my tongue can I say these verses? Ultimately, they can't catch you. But I'm crying all this only so that you know I am at least making a sincere effort. Now you please be impressed with my attempt and you find me. I can't find you. I don't know where you are. Before the crocodile finishes me, my Lord, don't let my hope get finished. Please come to me. Please kindly come and show me your very beautiful form. So we see that in the pastimes of Vasudeva Maharaj also, as we were describing a couple of nights before, we know that before Krishna entered the womb of Devaki, he entered the mind of Vasudeva. Krishna literally entered the mind of Vasudeva. And our acharyas give 4 reasons why Krishna entered the mind of Vasudeva before he entered the womb of his mother, Devaki. First and foremost, the acharyas describe, Krishna says in the Gita, Indriyanam Manaschasmi. Among the senses, I am the mind. So if the mind of Vasudeva is also Krishna, Krishna is trying to deal with his own representative. Of all the senses that he could enter, he says in the Gita, Indriyana Manaschasmi. Among the senses, I am the mind. Therefore, Krishna wanted to shake hands with his own representative, which is the mind. That's first reason. Second reason, it is described that, in fact, three reasons. The second reason, it is described that Krishna in this Leela had to become very restless. He has never been so restless in any Leela. Ram is very Maryada Purushottam, but in Krishna Leela, he's Leela Vihari, he's Leela Purushottam. So he's going to become very naughty child, very restless child. So Krishna was thinking, before I actually enact this pastime, I have to have association of like-minded people who are very restless and very naughty. And of all the senses, the most restless and the most naughty is the mind. Therefore, Krishna thought, before I actually enact this pastime, I want to have close association with someone who's like-minded so that I pull off this Leela really well. So he associated with the mind. Also, a corollary point here is that all the senses are called go. And mind is the ultimate king of all senses. So he's the Gopal. He's the protector and the king of all senses. So go also means cows. So Krishna thought, in this Leela, I am going to become Gopal, the protector of all cows. So I have to also, before that, I have to associate with someone who's a Gopal. And so because the mind is actually the protector and let's say the king of all the go, which means the senses, Krishna associated with the mind. But the final point is also the fact that Krishna was fed up that all the acharyas are saying, Nama Giram Viduraya, Manasas Chetasamapi. Oh Krishna, no one's mind can catch you, no one's mind can catch you. Krishna said, oh, okay, your mind cannot catch me. But if you keep your mind like Vasudeva, I will catch your mind. This is why Krishna, he caught the mind of Vasudeva. He entered the mind of Vasudeva. So here Gajendra is saying, similarly, my Lord, I can try my bit to cry and speak and sing and offer flowers and all of these things, but ultimately it's your ball. The ball is in your court. It's your game. So it is described in the Kathopanishad, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya Na Medhaya Na Bahuna Shrutena, that one can speak so much about Krishna, but still he cannot properly describe. Krishna cannot be attained by all of these descriptions. What is proper Hari Katha? Like people like me, I am simply parroting abstract, theoretical information. It's not realization. But true great souls, when they speak, what is that? Krishna's grace, Krishna's Shakti, Krishna's Swarup Shakti flowing through that speaker. This is why when the book was compiled, it was called Hari Bhakti Vilas. When Bhakti for Hari does its Vilas in someone. You see, Bhakti is very free. She is Krishna's energy. We cannot do anything. All that we can do is surrender and let the current of Krishna's grace flow through us. No one can be compassionate in this world. All that they can do is surrender to Krishna and let Krishna's compassion flow through them. So when Bhakti, which is Krishna's energy, gets pleased with some jiva by their effort of surrender, she enters that jiva and does vilas. She does play. She sports. And that is what we see in the life of great souls. It is not they acting. It is Bhakti haunting surrendered jivas. This is why it's called Hari Bhakti Vilas. It is the Vilas. It is the play of Bhakti of Shri Hari. So Gajendra is saying, my Lord, I cannot do much. I am speaking all of this, but ultimately your grace has to flow. You have to reveal yourself. You have to deliver the crocodile. You have to liberate me. You only have to do all the work now. So I have signed the papers from my side. Now I depend on you to stamp and sign as the supreme president of this organization. So having said that, this is a very beautiful verse from the Gajendra Stuti. Nama Atma Pradipaya Sakshine Paramatmane Nama Giram Viduraya Manasas Chetasamapi. So tomorrow and day after, Saturday and Sunday, we will take a break because there are so many temples in North America who are having their Saturday programs and Sunday programs. So we don't want to have any extra session. We will meet on Monday, same time, 7 to 8 in the evening, Eastern Standard Time, and we will continue our discussion from the 11th verse of this chapter of Gajendra Stuti. I really want to thank all the devotees for being online and carrying through this discussion with so much faith, so much attention, and so much absorption. Thank you so much. I offer my obeisances to all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. So see you all Monday, same time, same place, with increasing enthusiasm and surrender. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Gaur.